This is a fun holiday project to do with the family. It's a Santa that plays holiday music and talks.
Is your tree all decorated and shining bright? Speaking of trees, why can't Christmas trees knit? Because they always drop their needles. Oh ho 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 ho!
You can also have your kids record their own phrases and it'll play with music just like you heard.
Hi, I'm an elf and I'm Santa's #1 helper. He lets me wrap all the special gifts and I wrap them with special wrapping paper.
If you customize the phrases, you could give this as a special gift. I mean, it's battery powered, it's USB chargeable. You can see the little USB right there. It doesn't require internet, and the whole thing is $35. So this would be a really special gift to give to grandparents or friends or something like that when you customize those holiday phrases. So the parts list is in the description below, and there's also a GitHub linked, and it contains the 3D Santa model as well as the schematics for the build and all the code and generic phrases to get you up and running. In this video, I'm going to show you how this is built, and then if you want, how to customize it to say whatever phrases you'd like.
Santa's workshop is always busy, but we make sure to have fun. Speaking of Santa, what's my favorite type of music? Give up? It's rap music. Oh, get it? Because I wrap gifts.
First thing you want to do is print off the Santa. So head out here to GitHub, NathanBuildsDIY/Santa, and you'll find the Santa Pico STL. This is just a 3D model of that Santa that we were just looking at. I actually grabbed this, just give credit here, Thingiverse. It was this guy's model. What I had to do is make it a little bit bigger and then hollow out the back side, keep it printable. I don't want to make this any supports or anything like that, but I hollowed it out so we could fill in our electronics, fit in a USB there, and then over on this side we can put our contact so that we can connect to this, and down below we've actually got a couple holes so that we can hold that contact in place without it moving. So it's just a slightly modified version of that. So you're going to 3D print this thing, and if you're familiar with 3D printing, white PLA, no supports, 10% infill, and all the rest defaults. It's not a tough print. Just go ahead and print it. Catch up with us in a couple minutes. If you're new to 3D printing, as I was, here's the 2-minute get you up to speed. You cannot print an STL file like this. You have to change this into code that your printer can use, and it's unique to each printer. So you use something called a slicing program to do that, and I use Prusa Slicer. So go out to Prusa Slicer, download it, and then you can go over here and grab the firmware or the image file, I guess I'll say, so that Prusa Slicer knows what your printer looks like. I have an Anycubic Cobra 2 Max. Your printer is probably something else. It could be anything. This is not a big print. So you got to get the Prusa Slicer filaments profile onto your machine. Then you open up Prusa Slicer. It looks like this when you first open it. I'm going to import config first, so this sets it up, tells it what machine we're using. We're just going to go with Cobra 2 Max, and then I am going to import. Actually, I should have pointed out back here when you are at this thing, go ahead and click the download raw file. That's going to download that STL to your computer. So you're going to import STL, and Santa Pico is the one that we want here. There he is. It's the same Santa that we were just looking at, just in our slicer now. So we're going to hit. You can leave all of these things default. This is not a special build. 10% infill, and I prefer not to have a brim. Slice it. You can see now here, instead of that monolithic green, we've actually got individual filaments that this thing is going to print. So the next thing we do is we export the G-code. G-code is what our printer actually uses. It's code that tells it where to go and what to do. So we export that, and now stick that on a USB, take it down to your printer and hit print. A couple hours later, you're going to have this. Now you can paint it up any way you like. This is a great project for crafty kids. They can put as many layers of paint on as they want. And while they're painting, you can solder up the electronics. Here is the wiring diagram. Grab your soldering iron and I'll walk you through how this all goes together.
This is what's inside the Santa. We're going to take this one step at a time. First thing, your Raspberry Pi right here already has all these little headers on it. You're just going to stick this thing right here. It is the lithium polymer shim. So you can plug your battery in here, and then you can later plug in any USB charger that you have over here, and it will actually recharge the battery for you. So you never have to get in there and recharge the battery. Pretty handy. So what you're going to do is you're just going to set that thing on there, and you're going to put a dollop of solder on every one of those pins all the way along it. Don't plug in this battery yet. My battery's hacked together. Yours is going to be a little prettier. So it's already got that connector on it. Don't plug that in yet though. The second thing is all of this audio setup right here. So you've got some pins right here that go to your amplifier and then to your speaker. So the first thing to do is just solder those wires onto the back of the speaker and bring it over here, and it actually screws into the little green header on your amplifier here. Now there's 5 header pins on this amplifier right here. We're only going to use the power and ground, so the 2 to 5 volt and ground. And then on the far end is the audio in plus and minus. We are not going to use that middle pin called shutdown. So you see here we've got black and white going to the 2 to 5 volt power, that's black, and then white going to ground. And so over here on our Pi Pico, if we check the pins that we have it hooked into here, if you actually look at the pin out, this is just going to 3.3 volts and ground, so supplying power and ground. And then the other two here, the audio plus and audio minus, go to your first and third pins over on this side right here. Doesn't matter what order you hook those up in. A plus, A minus doesn't make any difference to this thing. And you can see here that this gray pin is not connected at all. So that shutdown pin over on this side gets no connect over here.
I failed to mention something important about this amplifier just now. There is this little screw on there. It controls the gain. In other words, the volume knob is this little thing right here. So stick a screwdriver in there and give it about a quarter turn or a half turn to the left. When you're actually playing the audio, you can mess around with this and see what sounds best. It comes maxed out and it will have a bad hiss because of that. You don't want it, it's like cranked to 11 or 12, right? So any dead sound, any quietness is actually just a loud hiss on this thing. You need to turn it about a half a turn to the left to get rid of that hiss. It'll still be plenty loud for all of the phrases that you need to play.
And then the last thing is we have an LED here so that when Santa talks, the LED turns on. And then we have a little limit switch here. It serves as a contact for us, so you can hear that click. That's how we turn Santa on, and he plays a phrase every time we click that button. So the way to hook those up, first you do a little bit of soldering right there, and then same thing over here. The polarity on this one actually matters. So you see there's a plus and a minus on the front of that, and it's got a built-in resistor. Makes it really nice and easy to use. So we've got the purple pin going to plus and the gray pin going to minus. And over here you can see the purple pin goes in the corner and the gray pin goes to a ground. Over here the order doesn't matter. Just make sure that you connect to the connection point of this little limit switch right here. So the pin closest to that and the center pin. These are usually disconnected. Whenever we push down on the button, they're connected. And over here we just tie it to a GPIO pin and ground. In our code, we pull this corner GPIO pin, the orange one, up high. And so basically whenever we click that button, the ground pin is now connected and it gets pulled down. So we can tell that that is being clicked in our code. And that's it. So it's just a bit of soldering, hook everything together, and now we're ready to load this up with code so that we'll actually play when we push this button right here. All right, you got that whole mess of wires attached to your Raspberry Pi Pico here, and it's time to actually power this thing up. This is a USB, and it is a data-capable USB cable. It heads over to my Raspberry Pi 5. The first time you power this up, you're actually going to have to push this white button right here called Boot Select, and then you're going to simultaneously push this button down here, which will actually power the whole thing on. So press and hold Boot Select, power it on. On your Raspberry Pi back here, when you let up on the Boot Select, it's going to show up as a USB drive. It is now essentially a blank Pico. We've got to load this thing up. So this is a program called Thani. The reason that I like the Raspberry Pi is it comes preloaded with Thani right here. If you're running some other operating system, go grab Thonny online. It's not too terrible. And then you'll go down here to the corner and you'll choose Install CircuitPython. We don't want to do MicroPython. This is our Raspberry Pi Pico that we were just working on. The variant that we have is just a Pico H. It doesn't have wireless. And then we hit Install. After reboot, it pops back up showing that a removable medium is inserted. We're going to hit cancel on that for now, and we'll close this out. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to head out to the Nathan Builds DIY page here. You can see that here is the code.py. Copy this into Thonny, that is run the current script on our Raspberry Pi. So that's all there is to it. This right here is all the code, and it's really quite short. We can actually have a look at it. All it does is it goes out and it grabs everything in the directory with MP3 on it, and then every time we click a button, that's this part down here, where we check and see if a button was clicked, it turns on an LED, and then it plays whatever MP3 is next in the list. Because we have this phrase right here, this index modulo length phrases, it will loop back around. So as the index climbs, it will eventually loop back around and start playing the beginning of the directory again. So now we got to figure out what the heck are we going to put onto our Raspberry Pi. Well, if you go back out to this same GitHub right here, you can see that in the Santa directory here, we have something called mixed phrases. These are the MP3s that you heard playing earlier. So grab them and drop them into a directory over here called mixed phrases. You might as well download all of them. So here they are. I'm going to copy these and I'm going to drop them over into circuit.py right here in the home directory. Okay, after a little fiddling, I've got all of those things copied over here, and now we can also see that our code.py is out there. So we can run this thing. We can look back down at our live working thing here, and if we follow this over to the button and click it, LED comes on and music starts playing. We have a successful test. Okay, we've got the code loaded on here. Now we're actually going to plug it. We've unplugged this from the laptop, and we're going to plug in our battery and do the exact same test that we just did. So this goes in like so. You click this little black button here to turn it on, and now we can head back over to our button, and sure enough, it starts playing. Now you can also recharge that battery using this USB right here. You'll get a little red light that comes on when it's actually doing the charging. It is now time to take our painted Santa and assemble this whole thing. There's 3 difficult parts. The first one is adding our Pico right here. The second one is getting the the button right here so we can click it on and off. And the third is this LED. After that, it's pretty simple. So the first thing to do is stick a little bit of Velcro right inside here, and then a little bit of Velcro on the bottom of your Pico right here. And then you're just going to want to kind of bend these wires back like so and insert it as far as you can over here. You want to get this USB port all the way to the end of this so that it's really easy to access. Like so. That sticks on real nice. The second thing we're going to do is take our LED strip right here, and we're going to push it out through the little hole that you see right in there. And I just hold it in place with a bit of tape. Now we've saved the trickiest for last. This thing just barely fits through this little opening right here. So give it a push through there, like so. Now take a section of any old wire really. I used 18 gauge solid. Make it into a U shape like this. And there's 2 little holes down there. You may have to drill them out. But what it's going to do, it's actually going to meet up with the holes that are on that right there. And so you're going to push that U of wire through the holes that are already in your limit switch right here. And then you're going to reach a finger inside and just bend one of those wires over so that it will stay in place. Good. You can see all the way in there, you've got that in place. Now the rest of this, you just shove it all in as best you're able. And the last thing is you're going to get your speaker and you're going to screw it into place. There you go. Santa's running.
Okay, this part is optional, but if you want to have custom phrases for Santa to say, this is how you do it. First off, just go to your laptop, use Audacity, and record the phrases that you want, each one as an MP3 file. Make sure your voice is fairly loud and that you have maybe 22 seconds or less of audio per. That's because the music that accompanies it is only 30 seconds each. So each one of these music files are 30 seconds a piece, and there's a beginning and an end where we only hear music. So 22 seconds of audio speaking is what we're shooting for. Now, we need to mix together each one of these songs. These are, by the way, these are generated by udio.com. That's an AI music generation site, and I had it generate instrumental holiday music. So what you see in here is instrumental holiday music in various styles. So you want to mix these with your phrases, and here's how you do it. You're going to pull down onto your desktop the GitHub links that are out there. So you're going to grab these three directories specifically. So the music is just what you're seeing over here on the left. It's full. And then you're going to put all of your phrases, your MP3s, into this thing called Santa phrases. Now, these are my old phrases. You don't want those. You actually want to put your phrases into the Santa phrases right here. And then you want to pull down this Santa make stock phrases from from the GitHub over here. So if you look here, it's this one right here. And this is where all the magic mixing happens. It uses PyDub, this library right here, and you may have to do a pip install PyDub to get this working. But then it just assumes that you've got Santa phrases and music directories, and then it puts everything out here into mixed phrases. And what it's actually doing is these couple lines right here are sort of the magic. It takes each of it matches up a music file with a text file, with a phrase file, and then it plays some music for about 5 seconds, and then it brings the music volume way down, plays the audio of you talking, and then brings the music back up at the end of that, and then it mixes it all together. This is sort of how you get this whole thing to sound so nice, and then it outputs it into the mixed phrases file over here. So if we go over here and look at mixed, well, actually, let's see this thing run. The way that you run it is just Python 3, so it's a Python program, and then Santa make stock phrases. So this thing runs, and you can see that it's chunking through each one of those, and it's outputting into in our Santa directory over here in the mixed phrases. Each one of these things is one of those mixed up files. So if I go, double click one of these, you can hear it playing in the background there on my little Raspberry Pi 5. So you're going to take all of these, every one of them when it's done, and you're going to copy them, and you're going to plug in your Pico. So let's plug it in real quick, and you're going to see it pop up in your file system. So right there it is. We can open it in the file manager, and what we would do here is we would actually paste all of these mixed phrases over into here. Now you have about a megabyte to work with. Tiny, tiny space, I know. But you can see each one of these is quite small. Why are they so small? Well, in the code here, we actually downsampled to 6,000 frame rate, and then only one channel. It's a mono speaker, not a stereo speaker. So we can get from, it's usually 44.1, I believe, kilohertz samples. We're down to 6K samples. So way, way, way poorer audio quality, and only a single channel, but you know what? It's good enough for the speaker that we've got. And it gets each of these MP3s down into the 20-30 kilohertz, 20-30 kilobyte range, so that we can fit like 25 or 30 of those into our megabyte of space that we have free out here on the Pico. We actually have 2 megs, but some of it's taken up with CircuitPython stuff. You probably really only got a meg or a meg and a half to work with. So fill it up. Stick it onto your CircuitPython here, fill it up with all of those MP3s. I'll actually copy some over so you can see what I'm talking about here. So if I just grab some of these and I head back to my CircuitPython, throw them into the directory out here, get rid of the old ones, and now the next time you power this thing up, it is actually going to play your versions of those MP3s. And that's how you get custom music on there. That is it. Enjoy playing with your new Santa.
Wishing you the merriest Christmas and a jolly new year. What's your favorite Christmas song to sing?
Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more unique and useful do-it-yourself builds.